The evening of May 27, 2011, at Hogsback Lake began like many others in the small community of Vanderhoof, a vibrant gathering of friends, laughter echoing across the water, the warmth of spring blending with youthful energy. Madison Scott, a 20-year-old known for her vivacious spirit and love for the outdoors, arrived at this lively party alongside roughly 50 other attendees. Familiar faces mingled, stories were shared, and the calm surface of the lake reflected the brightness of a seemingly ordinary night. Yet beneath this convivial backdrop, an unsettling mystery was quietly set in motion. Madison was no stranger to Hogsback Lake. As a seasoned camper and local, she had spent many nights under the stars here, confident and comfortable in this rugged natural setting. The party that night was a familiar scene, a blend of old friends and new acquaintances gathered in celebration. But as the hours slipped past midnight, circumstances took an unexpected turn. Her friend Geordie Baldock, nursing a painful knee injury, decided to leave the party early. Geordie urged Madison to come along, concerned about her well-being and perhaps sensing the need for rest and care. Despite this earnest plea, Madison made a choice that has puzzled everyone who knows her. She declined, choosing to remain alone in her tent. This decision, bewildering on the surface, became a fulcrum of suspicion and debate. Why would Madison, an experienced camper familiar with the area, choose solitude over companionship, especially when urged to leave? The reasons remain elusive, but this choice would mark the last definitive moment anyone could say they truly knew where Madison was. Before settling in for the night, Madison made a brief yet significant trip back home to retrieve a larger tent and extra poles. This small detail hints at her intention to stay the night comfortably, prepared for what she thought would be a peaceful rest. Correspondence with her father through text messages between late evening and just past midnight added a final thread of connection, revealing a young woman still engaged in familiar, loving exchanges, not someone signaling distress or forewarning danger. But after this, the trail grows cold. The last reported sighting of Madison occurred around 3 a.m. as partygoers chatted and mingled in the stillness of the campground. After that, no one saw her again. The morning light brought a chilling discovery. Geordie, returning to collect her own sleeping bag, found Madison's tent unzipped and her sleeping bag shifted aside, a tent no longer a refuge, but a silent space devoid of its occupant. The absence of Madison was immediate and profound. Yet strangely, Geordie did not report this disappearance at the time, an omission that seeded deep tensions and suspicions within the community and beyond. Why had she left Madison alone and then remained silent when the young woman vanished? Adding to the enigma, Madison's truck sat locked nearby, a seemingly ordinary off-white 1990 Ford F-150, with no sign of forced entry or disturbance. Yet inside, her purse remained, while her phone and a distinctive set of keys were missing. These vanished items hinted at a sudden departure, one not entirely voluntary or planned, and propelled the investigation into a realm of uncertainty. As news of Madison's absence spread, her family hurried to Hogsback Lake, only to find the scene rattling in its silence. The tent, once upright and protective, now flattened the following day after a second, larger party attended by approximately 150 people. This flattened tent, disturbing in its damaged state, became another fragment of the puzzle. Questions swirling about what had transpired after Madison was last seen, and what, if any, significance this destruction held. The silence and delayed reporting by Geordie added another layer of complexity to the case. Community doubts surfaced, some voices questioning her truthfulness or suggesting concealed knowledge. Nonetheless, the police's interviews and polygraph tests of party attendees yielded no immediate suspects, and official statements cleared those present of involvement. Yet the gap between public suspicion and official findings left an uneasy tension, contributing to the enduring shadow surrounding that last night. In those fleeting hours between midnight and dawn, the bright promise of a typical evening at Hogsback Lake faded into darkness and unanswered questions. Madison's choice to stay alone, the brief return home for camping equipment, the final text with her father, the silent campsite at dawn. These details frame a haunting narrative of sudden disappearance amid familiar surroundings. The vanishing of Madison Scott, that enigmatic last night at Hogsback Lake, marks not just the absence of a young woman, but the beginning of a profound mystery that would grip a community, challenge investigators, and inspire tireless pursuit for truth. As we move forward, we will delve deeper into the exhaustive searches, the community's response, and the complex web of theories and suspicions fueled by this night's silent shadows, unraveling what led to the moment when Madison Scott disappeared without a trace. The disappearance of Madison Scott sparked one of the most exhaustive and complex searches in the region's recent history, underscoring the profound urgency to find a vibrant young woman who vanished without a trace at Hogsback Lake. In the immediate aftermath of Madison being reported missing, a multi-agency search effort was swiftly launched, underscoring the gravity and mystery surrounding her sudden absence. Hogsback Lake itself presented a formidable challenge for search teams. Spanning roughly 128 acres with water depths reaching 22 feet, the area's terrain was a patchwork of glacial till, sand, gravel, clay, and basalt bedrock, a landscape that tested the limits of human endurance and technology alike. The dense trees and uneven ground meant that every inch of the forested perimeter required meticulous attention. Ground teams were deployed with remarkable thoroughness and variety. Searchers on foot formed extended lines, hand in hand, combing the woods in a systematic grid pattern. The search was further bolstered by the use of horseback riders, who could navigate certain rougher stretches more swiftly, as well as the deployment of all-terrain vehicles and other off-road capable vehicles to cover broader areas rapidly. This coordination ensured no corner of the expansive landscape was overlooked. Above, helicopters flew tirelessly, often during the chilly early mornings and late evenings, equipped with forward-looking infrared FLIR cameras. These advanced tools could detect heat signatures, offering a vital advantage in the dark or through tree canopies. The aerial search spanned a wide elliptical area of approximately 2,788 square kilometers, a testament to the seriousness with which the authorities approached every possible lead. The goal was clear: to find even the smallest sign of Madison or evidence leading to her whereabouts. On the water, specialized dive teams plunged into the cold depths of Hogsback Lake. Armed with sonar technology fitted onto boats, they scanned the lake bed for anomalies or disturbances that might indicate where Madison could be hidden. Given the lake's clarity but considerable depth, these underwater searches were both technically demanding and painstakingly slow. The commitment to leave no stone unturned even extended to trained cadaver dogs carefully sniffing the grounds, looking for scents that might have escaped human detection. Despite the sophistication and scale of this multi-pronged manhunt, the search yielded no overt signs of Madison or any struggles suggesting foul play at the campsite itself. The tent where she had been last seen, notably flattened during a separate party the following evening, remained a curious piece of evidence. Investigators identified the person responsible for flattening it and questioned them thoroughly. Yet, the reasons behind this act were never publicly disclosed, leaving a layer of unanswered questions hanging over this key detail. Early investigative findings strongly suggested that Madison left the area, not wandering away on foot, but most likely via a vehicle. The absence of any footprints, tire damage, or other indications of someone departing the dense and rugged terrain on foot compounded this theory. This was a pivotal moment in the investigation. It transformed what initially seemed like a straightforward missing person case into a scenario shadowed by suspicion of foul play. The implication that Madison may have been driven away by someone, willingly or otherwise, added a chilling new dimension. Authorities conducted extensive interviews with those who attended the party on that fateful night. Every person of interest was interviewed, and some underwent polygraph testing as part of the investigative process. Police statements publicly maintained that there was no reason to believe that a party attendee was responsible for Madison's disappearance, and highlighted the cooperation received during these inquiries. Despite the clearance of partygoers, skepticism lingered in the community. The unexplained presence and actions of some individuals, and notably the flattened tent, left many with unresolved doubts. At the heart of the community and family response was a fierce refusal to surrender to despair. Madison's family spearheaded continual efforts to maintain attention on her case. Recognizing the importance of public awareness, they offered a substantial reward of $100,000 for information leading to an arrest and conviction, a bold move signaling their unwavering hope and determination. More than just waiting for a break in the investigation, they organized annual searches at Hogsback Lake, rallying volunteers and using these gatherings to not only comb the area, but to keep their beloved Madison's memory alive. Among the events established to maintain momentum was the Help Find Maddy Poker Ride, an annual local tradition that brought the community together. This event combined Madison's love of outdoor activities with an ongoing call for information and justice. The family also maintained communication lines via email and coordinated with numerous online and offline platforms to spread the word far beyond Vanderhoof. Billboards across northern British Columbia featured Madison's image, and the story garnered international media attention, reminding all who heard it that Madison was not forgotten. Community engagement was equally powerful and poignant. Vigils that drew thousands, sometimes nearly half the population of their small town, showcased deep collective empathy and solidarity. People wore jerseys in Madison's honor, and local leaders expressed unwavering support for the investigation. There was a shared sense that the community's effort was instrumental in sustaining the search's visibility and urgency. Yet, even amid this solidarity, frustration simmered beneath the surface. The mysterious circumstances surrounding key evidence, notably the flattened tent and the unexplained motives behind it, alongside the silence of some early party witnesses, continued to stir unanswered questions. The community grapples with the tension between official statements, clearing attendees, and the gaps left by undisclosed investigative details. This lack of transparency sometimes compounded the pain and uncertainty for those closest to the case. Still, the collective endurance of Madison's family and community efforts demonstrated a resilience that transcended the tragic unknowns. Their tireless search, blending rigorous official methods and heartfelt grassroots campaigns, painted a portrait of a community unwilling to let hope fade, even as the case grew colder with time. This unyielding manhunt around Hogsback Lake, spanning land, water, and air, and fueled by the fierce commitment of both official agencies and devoted civilians, stands as a solemn testament to the desperate desire to find Madison Scott. Their efforts, though met with frustrating silence and lingering mysteries, laid the groundwork for the eventual breakthrough that would come more than a decade later, and remains a powerful part of the story of what happened on that enigmatic last night. In the aftermath of Madison Scott's disappearance, the stark facts and exhaustive investigations gave way to a murky landscape of speculation, theory, and persistent public doubt. What began as a missing person case transformed into a complex narrative tangled with suspicion, rumor, and unresolved questions that continue to haunt the community of Vanderhoof and all who followed the case. As we step into this shadowy arena, we uncover how truth and uncertainty have become entwined, challenging everyone involved, families, friends, law enforcement, and the broader public, to grapple with complexities that resist simple answers. One of the first and most contentious points of debate centers on Geordie Bolduc, Madison's friend who left the party at Hogsback Lake early due to a knee injury and urged Madison to leave with her. However, Madison chose to stay behind, a decision that has fueled widespread skepticism. Despite the official police investigations clearing all party attendees, including Geordie, the public remains uneasy. The police conducted interviews and even polygraph tests, ultimately declaring they found no evidence implicating anyone at the party. Still, the circumstances surrounding Geordie's actions, most notably her leaving Madison alone in the tent and her delay in reporting Madison's disappearance, have never fully settled the public conscience. Online forums and local discussions often dismiss Geordie's narrative as incomplete or suspicious, reflecting a gulf between official clearance and community trust. This tension underscores how official findings don't always align with public perception, especially when vital moments, like the decision to stay behind or the gaps in reporting, leave unfilled questions that demand answers. Beyond mistrust centered on known individuals, darker and more ominous rumors circulated within Vanderhoof's close-knit community. One persistent narrative speaks of gangster wannabes, a loosely defined group alleged to have sinister involvement in Madison's fate. Unlike traditional biker gangs, this rumored faction is said to be linked through regional social circles and intertwined with tragic local crime stories, including the murder of Fribbjørn Bjornsson, another young man from the area with alleged ties to some of Madison's acquaintances. While these rumors have never been substantiated by law enforcement, their circulation has amplified a collective feeling of unrest and distrust. They illustrate how communities, faced with incomprehensible tragedy, often turn to familiar narratives, stories of violence and power struggles, to explain senseless loss. These rumors amplify the call for justice, even as they blur the line between fact and conjecture, and illustrate the human need to make sense of darkness by naming it. Adding further complexity, alternative theories propose scenarios fueled by the puzzling placement of Madison's remains, found approximately 18 kilometers from Hogsback Lake, a distance unlikely explained by a simple disappearance on foot. Some have suggested the possibility of a tragic accident, such as a hit and run, where the driver, gripped by panic, may have concealed her body afterward. This interpretation fits with police conclusions that Madison likely left the campsite by vehicle rather than on foot, given the absence of signs suggesting she traveled alone across the difficult terrain. Yet this theory raises questions too. Why would Madison, a local and experienced camper familiar with the area, end up so far from the last confirmed sighting in an inaccessible location? The supposed accident theory, while plausible on its surface, struggles against these geographical and behavioral facts, highlighting the challenge of reconciling theory with the evidence, or notable lack thereof. Another thread weaving through public thought is the tenuous link some draw between Madison's disappearance and the infamous Highway of Tears cases, a series of disappearances and murders of Indigenous women along Highway 16 in British Columbia over several decades. While officially Madison's case is not classified within this tragic category, partly due to differing circumstances and demographic factors, the proximity of her disappearance and the haunting pattern of missing women in the broader region keeps this connection alive in public consciousness. This association brings emotional weight and cultural significance to the case, echoing wider issues of systemic neglect and unresolved grief for missing women. Though law enforcement has largely denied any official linkage, the shadow of the Highway of Tears looms, reminding listeners that sometimes the stories communities tell are as important as the stories investigators confirm. Intriguingly, the mystery deepened with the unsettling role of an online prediction that seems to border on the uncanny. Years before Madison's remains were discovered, a user on the Web Sleuths forum pinpointed the approximate location where her body would be found. They described specific details that appeared impossibly accurate in hindsight. This eerie foresight has sparked uncomfortable speculation. Did this person possess insider knowledge? Or was it a chilling coincidence amplified by retrospective interpretation? The public's curiosity and suspicion are inevitable, especially when contrasted with the painstaking secrecy surrounding official investigative findings. and the apparent silence about how that information came to light. Whether insider tip or accidental guess, the prediction adds another layer to the complex narrative, a reminder of how true crime stories, especially those as prolonged and heartbreaking as Madison's, can become labyrinths of uncertainty and intrigue. Through this web of theories, rumors, and unanswered questions, the psychological weight of the case unfolds. Families cling to hope and demand justice. Friends wrestle with doubt and guilty questions. Law enforcement navigates the delicate balance between transparency and preserving investigative integrity, and the wider community confronts the painful reality that some truths remain elusive. The emotional fallout permeates every conversation, every vigil, and every effort to ensure Madison is not forgotten. In the absence of definitive answers, the community's search extends beyond physical evidence to an enduring quest for meaning, accountability, and closure. As we transition from the grim realities of Madison's disappearance and the extensive efforts to find her, we enter a realm where facts blur with fears, where justice seems just beyond reach, and where every whisper of rumor reflects the deep human need to confront darkness with light. This section has sought to illuminate the complex mosaic of suspicion, theory, and unresolved pain that shadows Madison Scott's story, reminding us that sometimes the pursuit of truth is as much about navigating the shadows as it is about discovering the final facts. From here, we move toward the poignant breakthrough of May 2023, the discovery of Madison's remains, which, while offering new clarity, also brings a fresh wave of questions and emotions that continue to shape this haunting case. May 28, 2023 marked a somber and poignant moment for the community of Vanderhoof, British Columbia, exactly 12 years after Madison Scott vanished from the familiar grounds of Hogsback Lake. It was on this day, or so close to it that the timing carried symbolic weight, that the discovery of Madison's remains was announced. After more than a decade of uncertainty, of long nights filled with unanswered questions, hope, and tireless searching, her physical presence was finally found, and yet in many ways the sense of closure hoped for remained elusive. The remains were located on a rural property east of Vanderhoof, approximately 18 kilometers from where Madison was last seen alive. This location, striking in its remoteness, yet hauntingly close to the last threads of her known existence, was intimately tied to individuals connected to the final night Madison spent at the party. While the police have carefully avoided publicizing the specifics of how this site came to light, it is clear that this tangible breakthrough swiftly altered the course of the investigation, but without shedding light on all the shadows that have surrounded the case. What is known sits alongside the uncomfortable unknowns. The RCMP confirmed the identity of the remains through the BC Coroner's Service, verifying the tragic truth that had eluded many for 12 years. Yet the cause of death remains undisclosed. Details about the condition of the remains, whether they were found buried or exposed, and the circumstances of their discovery have been withheld. The official silence, carefully maintained by the RCMP, is both strategic and deeply frustrating. It intends to safeguard the integrity of an ongoing investigation, but it also leaves the public and Madison's family grappling with the void of information. This silence has fueled a groundswell of speculation and emotional turmoil. For a community that had never ceased hoping, the discovery was both a moment of profound relief and a new moment of reckoning. Thousands of people in Vanderhoof came together in vigils and memorials, gathering to honor Madison's memory and to stand in solidarity with her family. These gatherings, which drew hundreds and sometimes thousands of attendees, reflected the deep emotional ripples that her disappearance, and now the discovery of her remains, sent through the small town fabric. The community's response was emblematic of their steadfast hope for justice, a song of resilience amidst the lingering shadows. Madison's family echoed this complex blend of grief and unanswered longing. While the discovery closed the agonizing chapter of the unknown whereabouts, it opened another, a flood of fresh questions that pierce as deeply as the loss itself. They expressed gratitude for the community's unwavering support, but made clear that the search for truth continues. The Scott family has maintained a $100,000 reward, a stark reminder that their pursuit is far from over, and they remain engaged and determined to see justice served. Perhaps one of the most unsettling aspects of this breakthrough is the continued secrecy around how the remains' location was ultimately uncovered. Was it a chance discovery, a resourceful tip, or the consequence of relentless investigative pressure? No official explanation has been provided. This unanswered question deepens the complexity of the case, inviting speculation and reflection. The discovery's proximity to individuals connected to the last known moments of Madison's life is critical, suggesting that the threads of this case lead directly to those who might hold the key to unraveling what truly happened. The RCMP's deliberate withholding of details can be understood as a calculated measure to protect potential witnesses, to preserve confidentiality, and to navigate the often treacherous path toward prosecution. Yet to those following the case closely, and especially to those who loved Madison, this lack of transparency sustains a gnawing frustration. The balance between investigative integrity and public accountability remains painfully delicate. As we reflect on this haunting aftermath, we are reminded that discovery does not always equal closure. The physical finding of Madison's remains brings undeniable truth, but leaves open the profound questions of cause, context, and responsibility. The elusive search for answers continues, echoing through the community's vigils, the family's pleas, and the quiet determination of investigators. This case forces us to confront the many faces of grief, the relief that comes with a final resting place, the torment of unanswered whys, and the ongoing hope that justice will one day follow. The shadows surrounding Madison Scott's disappearance linger still, quiet yet persistent, urging us not to look away. As we move forward in telling this story, it is important to hold the unresolved truths close, to remember Madison as more than a case file, to honor the courage of those who do not give up seeking justice, and to recognize that sometimes the search for answers is a collective journey that asks us all to stay vigilant and engaged. The story of Madison Scott's discovery does not end here. It marks a solemn new chapter in the pursuit of truth, reminding us that beneath the silent shadows lie questions waiting to be answered and a community's hope still burning bright.